Tibetan Philosophy Explained, Part 1 of 3. Chapter 1. The Roof of the World. Imagine a land where the earth rises to meet the sky, where the wind carries the prayers of centuries, and where the mountains themselves seem to meditate in silence. This is Tibet, a place often called the roof of the world. But beyond its breathtaking geography, Tibet is home to one of humanity's most profound philosophical traditions. Tibetan philosophy is not merely a set of abstract ideas. It is a living, breathing system that has shaped the lives, hopes, and spiritual aspirations of millions. To understand its origins is to embark on a journey through time, cross cultures, and into the very heart of what it means to seek wisdom. Chapter 2. The Ancient Tapestry. Bon and the Dawn of Thought. Long before Buddhism arrived, Tibet was already a land of spiritual inquiry. The indigenous Bon tradition, shrouded in myth and legend, provided the earliest framework for understanding the world's mysteries. Bon was more than a religion. It was a cosmology, a way of relating to the land, the spirits, and the cycles of life and death. Its rituals, texts, and oral teachings spoke of a universe alive with forces both benevolent and malevolent, and of the need for harmony between humans and the unseen world. Bon's influence on Tibetan philosophy is profound. It introduced concepts of the soul, the afterlife, and the importance of ritual purity. Even after the arrival of Buddhism, Bon would continue to shape Tibetan thought, blending with new ideas to create a uniquely Tibetan synthesis. The Bonpo, as its practitioners are called, preserved ancient texts and practices, some of which would later be reinterpreted through a Buddhist lens. Chapter 3. The Arrival of Buddhism. Seeds from India. The true transformation of Tibetan philosophy began in the 7th century CE. During the reign of King Songtsen Gampo, inspired by the great civilizations to the south, Songtsen Gampo sent scholars to India, the cradle of Buddhist thought. They returned with texts, teachers, and a vision that would forever alter the Tibetan mindscape. The transmission of Buddhism to Tibet was not a simple affair. It was a process marked by translation, adaptation, and at times resistance. The Indian masters, most notably Padmasambhava, known as Guru Rinpoche, brought with them the teachings of Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhism. These teachings emphasized the emptiness of all phenomena, the interdependence of all things, and the possibility of enlightenment in a single lifetime. Padmasambhava's arrival in the 8th century is the stuff of legend. He is said to have subdued the local spirits and demons, integrating them into the Buddhist cosmology rather than banishing them. This act of synthesis, of embracing rather than erasing the old, would become a hallmark of Tibetan philosophy. Chapter 4. The Great Translation Movement, Building a Canon. One of the most remarkable chapters in intellectual history unfolded in Tibet between the 8th and 11th centuries. The Great Translation Movement. Teams of Tibetan and Indian scholars worked side by side, translating thousands of Sanskrit texts into Tibetan. This was not mere linguistic labor. It was a philosophical dialogue, a meeting of minds across cultures. The translators faced immense challenges. Many Sanskrit terms had no Tibetan equivalents, forcing the creation of new vocabulary and even new ways of thinking. The result was the Tibetan Buddhist canon, a vast library of sutras, tantras, commentaries, and philosophical treatises. The Kagyu, the translated words of the Buddha, and the Tenyor, the translated treatises, became the bedrock of Tibetan intellectual life. This era also saw the rise of indigenous Tibetan scholars such as Shantarakshita and Kamalashila, who debated the finer points of philosophy and meditation. Their works laid the groundwork for the uniquely Tibetan schools of thought that would soon emerge. Chapter 5. The Synthesis. Buddhism meets Tibet. Tibetan philosophy is, at its core, a synthesis. It is the product of a dialogue between Indian Buddhism and indigenous Tibetan beliefs, between rigorous logic and mystical experience. This synthesis is evident in the very structure of Tibetan monastic education, which combines debate, meditation, and ritual in a seamless whole. One of the earliest and most influential schools was the Nyingma, or ancient school, which traced its lineage directly to Padmasambhava. The Nyingma emphasized the Dzogchen teachings, the great perfection, which taught that the true nature of mind is already pure, luminous, and free. This radical idea would echo through the centuries, challenging philosophers and meditators alike to look beyond concepts and words to the direct experience of reality. Other schools would soon follow, the Kagyu with its focus on meditation and yogic practice, the Sakya, known for its scholastic rigor, and the Gelug, founded by Tsongkhapa, which would become the dominant force in Tibetan intellectual life. Each school brought its own interpretations, practices, and philosophical innovations, but all shared a common commitment to the pursuit of wisdom and compassion. Chapter 6. The Fabric of Tibetan Thought. Key Concepts. At the heart of the tradition is the idea of emptiness. To truly appreciate Tibetan philosophy, one must grasp its central concepts. The insight that all phenomena are devoid of inherent existence. Together, these form the twin pillars of the Tibetan path. Every thought, every action, every moment is part of a vast web of causes and conditions. This is not nihilism, but a profound recognition of the interdependent, ever-changing nature of reality. Emptiness is paired with compassion, the wish that all beings be free from suffering. A key idea is interdependence, the understanding that nothing exists in isolation. Could the mind be a thing, a process, or something beyond all categories? This clever insight is not merely theoretical. It informs the ethical and contemplative life of every Tibetan practitioner. Finally, Tibetan philosophy places great emphasis on the nature of mind. The great debates on this question would shape the course of Tibetan thought for centuries, leading to some of the most sophisticated analyses of consciousness in world philosophy. Chapter 7. A Living Tradition. Philosophy as Practice. In Tibet, philosophy is not confined to the monastery or the scholar's desk. It is woven into the fabric of daily life. The spinning of prayer wheels, the recitation of mantras, the intricate rituals are all expressions of a worldview that sees wisdom and compassion as the highest goals, but as a living tradition, one that continues to inspire, challenge, and transform. Monks and laypeople alike engage in lajong, or mind training, using slogans and contemplative exercises to transform ordinary experience into the path of awakening. The great yogis retreat to mountain caves, seeking direct realization of the teachings. Even the art and architecture of Tibet, its mandalas, thangkas, and stupas, are imbued with philosophical meaning. Chapter 8. The Journey Begins. As the sun sets over the Himalayas, casting long shadows across the land, we begin to see Tibetan philosophy not as a relic of the past, but as a window into the present, as a way to understand the here and now. Its origins are a tapestry of cultures, ideas, and experiences woven together by the unending quest for truth. In the next part of our journey, we will delve deeper into the core philosophical systems and practices that define Tibetan thought. We will meet the great masters, explore their teachings, and discover how their insights continue to shape the world today.